Welcome back, everybody, to the Nevin Shapiro Show. I'm Mike Tirado. I'm here with Nevin Shapiro, and today we're going to do a full recap of the 2025 spring game that just happened on Saturday at Cobb Field at University of Miami. We're going to go over a couple of topics regarding the offense, the defense. We're also going to go over the Nico Lamalava situation, and Nevin's going to give a little story at the end of a recruiting story that he wanted to talk about. So before the video starts, please click that subscribe button. We're dropping videos every week for you guys, and as always, let's get into the action. I was at the spring game. From an offensive standpoint, Malachi Toney came out and put on a really big show. Honestly, it wasn't really even close when it comes to like the receivers. Does that concern you that a true freshman is the clear-cut guy above all?
So, I didn't have the benefit of being there and witnessing it myself. I like to make my opinions based on what I see with my own eyes. I don't like to take others, suggestions. I don't like, I'm just really funny that way. I'm like an eye test guy personally. From everything I was told, he seems to be a clear-cut guy, but also I'm being told that Ray Joseph is really the guy. But you also got to consider the sources of where I'm getting that from. There's a lot of pro Ray love from that area. I've seen this kid, when he was at American Heritage, and I've seen his upside, and you can see he's special. That's how I felt like when I saw Roscoe before, even though Roscoe wasn't like a big size guy, but you knew he was going to be electric doing what he does. And I see Malachi Toney as that same type guy. There's so many question marks. There's just nothing to talk about right now. So everyone's just hoping, right? Everyone's just hoping. You can't wait for the season, this and that. Who knows what his role is going to be? There's a lot of receivers coming into the mix. It's a whole new regime. The offensive line is what's returning, and the two running backs.
Yep.
Beyond that, I think the receivers it's a crapshoot, and there's a lot of upside talent from what you would suspect from their high school rating publications. But they got to just go out and play, man. I'm not a big believer in who shows out in spring, and get on the field. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. You brought up the offensive line, the running backs. From what I saw, that was clear cut. The strength of our team, honestly. Tight ends looked huge, massive, really good and athletic. The one thing that concerned me, and I wanted to get your insight on this, Emory Williams and Luke Nickel really took the majority of the reps. Judd Anderson took some reps, but they both took the majority. Luke Nickel was much more aggressive, pushing the ball downfield, looked very accurate, threw a couple of really good balls to Malachi. Does it concern you that Emory Williams is in his third year and he is projecting at this point potentially third string from a developmental standpoint?
Well, therein lies the answer to the question of why would you go and spend a lot of money on Carson Beck and bring in multiple high-rated quarterbacks. That's the University of Miami's opinion, or the offensive side of the ball's opinion of what they think of Emory Williams. And I'm not knocking Emory Williams. Like I've said from the beginning, they've already established what they think of him. If that kid's here by next week, by the time we do our next show, if he's still here, I'll be shocked.
Yeah.
I just don't know what he's sticking around for.
Yeah.
He's never going to see the field. That's the most action he's going to see, what he just saw.
Agreed. So let's jump into the defense. Defensively, the D-line looked really solid. They had like a goal line stance. They stopped our offense 4 downs in a row, 4 runs. And Popo Aguirre was the standout linebacker. I foresee him being the best linebacker that we have on the team. But our linebacking core is still, for me, a little suspect. Some holes in it. I don't see like a super dominant linebacker, and our core doesn't seem to be that way. In the secondary, nobody really like stood out to me too much.
Yeah.
We spoke to somebody on Mario's staff, and they claimed that we need to increase our speed from a defensive standpoint. Does that concern you going into this year, coming off of what we just did with the defense?
Definitively, specifically from who it came from.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So I've never been big on this linebacking crew for the last, let's just say, 2 years. I don't think we've had a real decent linebacking crew since Quarterman, Pinckney, and the other guy. I can't remember his name, but you know who I mean, those three.
Zach McLeod.
Zach McLeod, yeah. I'm not, I think that's by far the weakest part of our squad. Those linebackers are suspect, period. Maybe Popo shows some promise and rises, but I'm not, we don't have any game changers at linebacker.
Right.
Period. To go further on your commentary on the secondary, I think it's very concerning that they just lost a kid.
That was my next question.
Yeah, to the transfer portal. And the only thing I can think of is that Mario and his staff probably already have their ideas of where they're going for this transfer portal window right here. I would hope that's the case.
Right.
I don't know that. I would hope that's the case. And that may have made this Zaquan Patterson expendable. Maybe that's a money deal. Who knows? I just think that's a very concerning loss from my vantage point. I think it's a very concerning loss because of the pipeline out of Chaminade Madonna. To not keep one of those guys happy, it's a bad. I just don't like it.
Right.
I don't like it. And I just don't like it.
So Zaquan Patterson was obviously the person we're talking about, and he was arguably our best safety coming back. More experienced side of things.
Big promise on that kid.
Yep.
Coming out from where he came from. He's been developed.
Yeah.
Because those guys develop at that school. They're far ahead of the learning curve of the average inbound freshman coming into a college level. That's really concerning to me.
Right.
It just is, because there's too many guys that we get out of there that you just can't afford. It happened with us with St. Thomas Aquinas years ago. We just went through a drought where we couldn't pull kids from there. And I know sort of the reason why back when. You just can't afford to have those blips from those feeding grounds that you're used to pulling kids from.
Right.
Because there's a million other schools that are waiting right there for you to fuck up.
So the perspective that I had on it was back in your days, let's just say, at Miami, the big name guys wanted to stay home and shine for their home team. And I look at a guy like Isaiah Horton, another big name that we lost to the portal, another big guy that had a really good year with Cam Ward, and probably would have been wide receiver 1, right?
Definitely.
Coming into right. So that the way I look at it a little deeper. It's more concerning that these guys want to leave the program. I see it from that kind
From
of
what I
angle.
was told specifically on that situation, and I trust my sources. You know who they are. His family was concerned about his development here.
There you guys have it.
Not my words. I'm just the messenger. So, how would I know what's going on as far as, that level of development? But that's what we were told. That's why they pulled him.
So I want to get into this with you. Me being at the spring game, it was an honor to be able to get to talk to a lot of former players and coaches. It was a really cool experience from that standpoint, and not just any players, legends. And I kind of asked all of them similar questions. Why hasn't Miami gotten back in 25 years? What's your thought process on our season and whatever. Their collective comments were they were concerned that Mario Cristobal doesn't have the staff and certain decision makings that he makes throughout the year is a big concern to them. What's your response to those kind of comments?
I don't want to be just make it a habit of bashing Mario. I just don't. I want the guy to win. I want them to win. I want him to win.
Yeah.
But there's been some really suspect moves along the way. Forget my situation. You just can't ride that forever. And some of the hires have been suspect. We've shared it. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but I don't know, man. It's now. It's now. It's just all these conversations, and I know we do our show here, and, it just gets down to, man, they better just they better win this year. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Because this is, the honeymoon's over. You've had enough time. The Gators just won a national title in basketball. The coach was there 2 years. Like, you don't need 5 years. This is over. So what's my response? What do I keep telling you? What do I keep telling our audience? You better fucking win, man, August 31st. Fuck everything else, man. This is all like, and I listen to these, and I don't even want to give credit to some of these other internal video guys or media representative coverages to the University of Miami. I don't want to give them any credit by even mentioning them by name because it's like bringing them up. These guys are schmucks. They're fucking schmucks. They talk like things are like things aren't golden. Like you're not a 5-star factory of studs. Oh, we looked amazing. We're on our way. LFG, let's fucking go. Blah, blah. Man, go fucking win and go undefeated and beat the fuck out of some teams. Right?
Absolutely.
Skip the bullshit,
Right.
man. You know what I mean? Beat Notre Dame. Beat Florida. Beat Florida State. Go 5-0 heading into your ACC conference.
Right.
And go handle work at SMU.
Absolutely.
I like everything else. What are we talking about? You don't win national titles in the spring. You don't win national titles by bringing in recruits. You don't win national titles by going to Prime 112 with 8 guys on money that was like basically stolen. Sorry. No pun intended.
Well, you know, the way I
Gotcha
kind of
again.
see it, you did. You got
Gotcha
me there.
again, man.
I mean, I never know what you're going to say sometimes.
Neither do I.
Kind of just, you know, but the way I look at it, and, you know, on our show, the Nevin Shapiro show, we're never going to just fluff everybody up and just say everything. I want to talk both sides. I'm
Yeah.
going to say the good things, but I want to talk the bad things
We're in
too.
a no fluff zone.
Yeah.
We're in a no fluff zone.
No, it's just
Keep that soft shit somewhere else, man.
I want to give it the most authentic podcast to our fans, and it's unfair if we restrict certain information to them.
You're going to hear rah, win one for the Gipper, kumbaya type shit from me if we're rocking. Okay? I'll be right out front leading the charge. But the fan base needs to know what's real.
Yep. And because this was nothing of my...
Listen, let me say this, Mike, and this is for our viewers. Listen, you can love me or you can hate my guts and wish I would just drop dead. That's cool. Like, that's cool. But the one thing I'm going to tell you is you're going to get it real from me. And I don't care whether you do like me or you don't like me. I'm getting it in a level that you're not. I promise you. Okay? I'm going to bring it to you the way it really is. I'm going to tell you what's up. I got no personal agenda with anybody in a bad way over there. I don't dislike Mario Cristobal, and I don't dislike anything to do with the University of Miami. I love the program. I went through a very serious situation with them, and there's a million mitigating factors that people aren't aware of, right? But those who are aware. And you're going to get it raw from me. Like, I'm going to tell you what's up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? And if you haven't come to that realization that you're just a hater and, you know, go fucking smoke a pipe.
And this is the last thing I'm going to say about this so we can move on. I feel that if any University of Miami fan was sitting in my shoes at that game and heard what I heard, they would have some concern. It was very concerning to me what I was hearing out of, quote unquote, the horse's mouth of legends of the University of Miami. And obviously we're not going to name any names, but we'll be the mouthpiece. And it was a high level concern from what they were saying based on his coaching, his everything.
Listen,
it was
so
concerning.
you guys threw a surprise birthday party for me like lunchtime.
Right.
That happened okay, so we're not going to mention names. The guys that were there, do you think they have skin in the game at the University of Miami?
Yes.
Okay.
Former players, former legends.
We know what it is.
Right.
Okay. Do you, like, are they talking to me like do something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very concerned. That's all we hear from the former player, and it's shocking to me how upset. I mean, they of course they love the University of Miami, but they're very, very upset with how things are going. That's what we get from
you got. This year is going to be a very, very telling year. Now, I've been very optimistic. True.
You have been more than I would be.
Okay, so I've been optimistic, and I've been, I've been taking the right approach mentally. But he's on his own, man. Mario's got this. It's his show, man.
Yep.
These hires are his hires. the portal. You got enough resources. There's just no excuses, man. There, like last year, there was no excuses, and he lived to fight another day, and he's gonna. I keep telling you, we're stuck with him. This is what it's going to be, and I don't think he's not getting talent, but it's the guys we lose that are more concerning for me. I don't like losing a kid like Zaquan Patterson from that school. Same way as I wouldn't want to lose a kid from American Heritage, or when I wouldn't want to lose a kid from Central. I wouldn't want to lose a kid from IMG. Like, you just got certain bases. IMG is not so much South Florida driven like those other schools are, and that's really concerning to me.
Yep.
I don't like losing from our feeding ground. Guys that leave us that are real fertile parts of our feeding ground, that's not a good look.
Well, let's move on from this spring game for a second. Let's go into this Nico Lamanlava situation. I know that we've kind of you've touched on it lightly on your IG page, but I want to get into it a little bit more. He held out of practice. For those that don't know, he had a dispute for $4 million. His current deal is $2 million. What most people also don't know is there's a rule in place that makes him ineligible to transfer within his conference, so he cannot transfer to another SEC school. What's your take on, first off, what's your take on all of this? And then where do you see him maybe landing?
I would guess, I'll answer the second question first.
Okay.
I would suspect he ends up somewhere west. He's a West Coast kid. That doesn't mean I know anything. Oregon are the ones who called him out and started this. I would suspect he would end up west. I don't know that.
Yeah.
What do I think of the situation? I think it's fucked up, and I hate the way the NCAA. You know how I stand. Look, I hate the fucking NCAA. I hate them. They're just despicable. They're pariahs. This goes back to my situation. I just know what they're about. They're not about the kids. And, this is the most recent example, and not to be the last. There's going to be other things. And I think it's killing the game. Yeah, I see some of the commentary. Well, look, the game's never been more prosperous. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because people are going to watch, including me, right? No matter whether there's a Nico Lamanlava or not, I'm going to watch. I'll be glued right in on Saturday, and I can't get enough of it. There's no question about it. As far as what's best and proper to keep it on a moving machine front, very, very bad look for the NCAA. Very bad look for other universities. Now you got kids holding out. It's just stupid. Man, it's stupid. It's stupid. The NCAA has got to be overthrown. I mean, there's got to be a governing board that can just say, like, look, we're not tied to the players. We're not tied to the coaches. We're not tied to the university. We're here about keeping this in semblance. And it's just a bad look, man. Bad look. And it's not going to be the last one.
We're going to close with a couple things here, but I know that, in our discussions, there was a recruiting story at your time at Miami that, we thought would be funny.
Let me get into that. And I don't even know how I thought about it. Something triggered it.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to use the timeline because it's going to be too obvious. I don't want to share the player's name. But so this was one of my favorite. I don't know if this was my favorite recruiter, but it's definitely the funniest. So we had a guy who was a high end pick, and there was another attachment to his recruitment beyond him. He came in. It's hard for me to really tell the story without almost like tipping my hand because of the other recruits that were involved. Anyway, so this guy comes from out of town, and it was a big pull for us. We don't typically go to this area. Anyway, so I take him and about 9, 10 of his colleagues, all, let's just say 4-star and up recruits. And I take these guys to the Cheetah. And, some shit's going on or whatever, So they all did their thing and, hit the jackpot. And about like 8 months later, there's an attachment to this recruit where like he's got a family member that's coming in and we want this guy bad. And I know we got the one guy already. Now the next one's going to come in. I'm like, man, I'm kicking ass. Well, this guy goes and tells his parents that he busted one out and man, they made the kid transfer because I didn't know, man, he was a Jehovah's Witness. So So I thought I did something good. Meanwhile, I got some pussy for a Jehovah Witness, and it fucking killed the recruitment for him and the attachment. Man.
Fuck.
I just thought it was fucking funny, man. Like, I'm not trying to get into any kind of religious shit and this and that, but I'm thinking I did a good. And I fucking cost Miami, not only him, but an additional 2 recruits for 1, all because of a ride to the Cheetah. I thought I struck gold, man.
Yeah, you thought you did good.
Yeah, I thought I struck gold, and I fucking crickets.
Fuck. I don't know how am I going to get into anything after that, but this is what we're going to close with.
I can't wait to hear your segue.
Yeah, right? This is going to be our last segment. So
I just don't know why he told his parents.
I don't, yeah. I wouldn't, I mean, if you know you're...
It cost us a great linebacker.
Yeah. If you know you're a Jehovah's Witness and you do something like that, you know.
Dude, who knew that?
Yeah, no, of course. How would you know? It's tough. So let me let's segue into this here. So you made me print out a nice little thing here before our show. I'm gonna put it up on the camera here, but you'll see it, and I'll blow it up for you guys. All it is our Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
From all the schools, and we're tied for second. USC has 14. We have 11. Notre Dame has 11. So we're tied for second right now. What's your comment?
Well, let me give you my comment. USC's got 14 Hall of Famers, Miami 11, Notre Dame 11, Pitt 10. Pitt won't see one for a minute. All right. Michigan and Ohio State 9-9, Alabama 8. So probably those guys will start coming up in a little bit, but let's just get right to it. Miami's got 11. So where do we do all our work? We really did all our work from the 80s on. We probably had guys, you know, the Chuck Foremans of the world. I'm not sure if he's in. Jim Otto, Ted Hendricks. So that's from earlier days. So really, Miami's rocking and rolling in this Hall of Fame thing. We're getting Frank Gore in. Reggie Wayne's going to go in. Vince Wilfork's going in. So we're right away tied with USC at 14, right? And you know we're going to push through. There may be a Greg Olson, Calais Campbell inevitably, whatever it's going to be. For anyone that thinks that the University of Miami is not the most dominant stretch in the history of collegiate sports, you're crazy. What they did in a 30-year period is unprecedented. It's unprecedented. We have the most Hall of Famers. By the end of probably next year, we'll be tied for the most Hall of Famers ever. All that work started in the 80s. Match it. Match it. Somebody. You can't. I know Ohio State's the national champs. They're running around beating their chest. They should. You know, they won the title. They've been solid since, you know, taking us down in that bullshit situation in 2002, right? Yep. We all know what really happened. Alabama's had a great run recently, late 2008 on, till Nick Saban retired. But, like, no one's done what we've done. Nobody. In that course of time, nobody. It's unprecedented.
Yeah.
I keep hearing about this 2019 LSU team. I wipe my ass with that team.
Yeah, we'll get into some 2002. We'll do another podcast on this Ohio State one.
You know where I stand.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So, Nev, thanks for coming on again and doing this. This was great. Went into a lot of things. Before you guys leave, please click that subscribe button. We're dropping videos every week for you guys. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one.